Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito.
And Crime. Hola, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. How have you been, sister?
How have you been?
I've been okay. Yeah, I've been
Better.
okay. I mean, better than last week, but it's been rough. But I've been a little bit better. Yeah. Anything is better when you see Drake.
But we saw Drake last night.
I saw Drake last night. You know what?
It wasn't a Drake concert.
It was not.
But he was there.
But it could have been a Drake concert.
It felt
like it was. But I also saw like a whole other people. Like there was other people. It was the Bun B took over like the rodeo. It's like all American takeover or whatever. If for whoever doesn't know, Houston has a rodeo for at least a whole
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Is it 3 weeks?
Yeah, and then they bring
there's concerts.
Yeah. And
Last
night was the All-American takeover of Bun B, and I'm not lying to you, I haven't had that much fun in a whole long time. It was awesome. And Drake was there. You know what? I just realized something. I'm very proud to be Houstonian.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm a proud Houstonian.
As you should.
I mean, I'm a transferred Houstonian.
But you've been
I'm
here
still
longer.
Texan.
No, but you've been here longer than you lived in Dallas.
Exactly, I have. Because I've been here 19 years and I moved here when I was 18. So basically, I've been here longer than I was in Dallas. So I'm a transferred Houstonian, but I'm proud of my city.
I've been here all my life.
We were all throwing up the H. It was nice.
Good time.
Nice. Yeah, I made friends with the neighbors.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, sorry you couldn't come. So
I was not invited.
No, you were not invited. Sorry you couldn't make it. So sorry that
I wasn't
you were
disposed.
super busy, and I know that you couldn't make it. But I made friends with my neighbors. They were so cute. And everybody was wearing the little cowboy hats. I didn't wear I wore cowboy boots on Saturday. My sister came and we went, and I was all like cowboyed out because that's what it is. The rodeo, that's what we do. But my sister was like, "You guys take it seriously here." I'm
Okay,
like,
didn't Vanessa go in chanclas?
My sister went in chanclas. She broke her chancla. But my nephews were like, my nephew Alex was like,
also you don't have to dress up in boots and cowboy. You can just go how. But a lot of people,
But like if you go, you do feel like you're left out if you don't.
Like people look at you. You're like, you're not wearing boots.
You're not wearing boots. Oh, okay.
Cowboy boots. You're not Western.
You're not from here. You don't know that we wear boots here. You know. So people buy boots just for this
rodeo season.
Yeah, rodeo season. So it's so cool to see everybody's boots, and everybody's so pretty. Everybody's like really dressed up. Like it is nice. It is really pretty.
One thing that I don't enjoy about the rodeo season,
traffic. Yeah. Traffic is kind of bad. Yesterday, traffic was bad.
Like, traffic's already bad, but when it's rodeo season,
it's super bad. Yeah. But you know what? It was worth it. And, you know, the rodeo, not that they would ever hear this, but they're so organized. It's so crazy how organized they are. The lines were out of control when my sister was here, but we went on a Saturday. Yeah. So it was meant to be out of control because it was a Saturday.
It was the weekend.
It was a weekend. But yesterday, I think they said there was up to, I think Bun B said that there was up to, my friend Bun B, we met. I'm just kidding. But he said that there was, I think 75,000 people there. Yeah. And so it was a big crowd. It was a big crowd. But not only that, but like to actually see the rodeo part of it, like the horses. I've been there before, but it was so interesting. Like my husband and I we were like, oh my God, this is cool. Like, how is that there? Like, there's like real cowboys. Like their career is cowboy. And not only that, but like I'm
telling you, you guys need to watch Yellowstone.
Yeah. So at the beginning of like when they were doing it, like whatever it was, a competition or whatever it was, the cowboys that were like doing the bucking of the toros and all that stuff. Sí, que los tienen que agarrar y que luego like the vaquitas and stuff. Yeah. So then it was funny because the craziest thing was most of them, they were like, oh, this is the only participant that's from Texas. Like all the other ones were from the South, but they weren't from here. There was even one that was from California.
Girl, yeah. But
she did really good. Her horse was fast.
I really liked the little section when the little kids have to jump on the little...
That was right before they started the concert. So they were already moving like the concert arena into the middle of the
center of the...
I guess it was just like
I don't want to say
it's a rodeo, right?
Yeah, it's a rodeo. I
don't know, but
it's a football stadium, but
yeah,
le echan pinche tierra and shit for the rodeo season.
Yeah, and then they had I don't know if you've ever been there when they have I think it's called they're trying to wrangle the chivitos, las vaquitas.
Yeah, los niños.
Los niños, and then they get a cow, or they either get a steer or they get like a calf. And then they get to grow it the whole year. And then next year they get to take it to rodeo and hopefully they can sell it.
Yeah.
And they keep the money. So I thought that was cool. But there's a lot of people with scholarships and
it's a whole shebang. Like it's not just a fair and concerts. It's way more than that.
Yeah,
so,
but they still do sell livestock. So that's really awesome. But I know that in Dallas they have the state fair, but I did enjoy the state fair, but I think it was it was totally different. It had nothing to do
it's completely different for sure.
But the state fair was so awesome as well. They have, but in Houston, we have so many vendors, like people selling belts and hats. And it's just
anything fried that you could possibly think of, they sell it at the rodeo.
Yeah.
Fried
but
pizza.
But that's also at the state fair.
Pizza on a stick, bacon on a stick, deep fried Oreos, deep fried Twinkies, deep fried Snickers,
like
deep fried Reese's.
I really wanted to try. Damn, bitch, you went on. I wanted to try the pizza that had like pickles on it. It was like a pickle pizza, but the line was ridiculous. It was like
turkey legs here, turkey legs over there.
Okay, that's enough, sister. So then
hot Cheetos on corn, hot Cheetos on pizza.
Here we go. So anyway, the Trill Burgers, which is Bun B's burger joint here in Houston. So we were all like, okay, cool. We're gonna
go finally.
Yeah, we're gonna go, right? Girl, the fucking line to get a Trill Burger was like 2 miles long.
Yeah.
The wait was an hour. And we're like, I'm hungry
for this. Now.
I'm hungry now. I can't wait, Bun B. I cannot wait, Bun B. And I heard they're really good, but I mean, they're like a burger, I don't know. I haven't tried them. But
they could just wait until the rodeo's over and they just go to...
No, the actual place still has a line, though.
Yeah, but they should DoorDash.
They should DoorDash for sure. I want to... And my doctor that I work with, one of the doctors today was like, hey, I wonder if they DoorDash. I'm like, I don't know. I wonder, but yeah.
Probably not.
So today's episode will be brought to you by...
Sorry for that little...
Sorry, but, if y'all have a chance, y'all should come to the rodeo.
Yep.
I know San Antonio has a rodeo, too.
Yeah.
And they actually have a lot more Spanish... como más grupos en español. Here, it's like...
Country artists.
And then a lot of...
they have Tejano.
And I wish they had Los Tigres del Norte this year.
Yeah.
And then there's not really many more. Oh, there was that one kid. I don't know his name, Ivan or something. He was also Hispanic. But other than that, I saw...
It's mostly just country artists.
I saw Mexican OT last night.
Yeah. You saw a whole bunch of people last night. You saw Nelly.
I saw
Yin Yang Twins.
I saw Rick Ross, Eve, and then...
One of the members of Run DMC, he brought him up too.
He brought him out, and then...
I didn't know if that was going to be that he was going to bring that big of a lineup.
Drake was just, it was jams. But anyway, so this episode is going to be brought to you by Estela. What do we got today, sister?
Okay, for today's case, we are going to McAllen,
Texas. Look at you. So if you would like to hear about McAllen, go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started. So I actually have a couple of facts about McAllen, beginning with its origin.
McAllen, okay.
Yeah. So McAllen, Texas was founded in 1905, and it was named after a Scottish settler, John McAllen, which is actually my last case that I did about, that was also here in Matagorda County. ¿Te acuerdas that the settler for the town también, he was English.
Oh,
remember?
Okay. Yeah, I do remember.
So I just think that it's weird, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because back in the day, people were migrating here.
Well, yeah, they're probably cousins.
No.
¿No crees que era primo?
No, porque Scotland, UK.
No, but, yeah, but, a lo mejor eran cousins, they're kinfolk. You never know.
So, like I just said, his name was John McAllen. McAllen is a border town, right? Like, we know this, and it borders Mexico. And it borders the city of Reynosa, to be exact. And it is one of the most important ports of entry trade with Mexico. Also, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I'm going to mention it anyway, because I thought it was interesting. A little mention. But, según McAllen, presents itself as the, quote, square dance capital of the world.
Not the world, Craig.
The world.
Not the world.
The world. The city hosts the Texas Square Dance Jamboree every February and has been doing so since 1987.
Bro, that's
jamboree.
so awesome.
Remember they used to make a square dance in elementary school?
Yeah, dude, they would.
I never understood that, but I liked it.
What was that song?
Was it do-si-do? Grab your partner?
No. Ours was in Spanish. Something about...
En YPE.
I don't know, but it was like the marcha de no sé qué, and I was like, okay. Y luego te ponían el vestidito, la little skirt. They don't do that anymore, dude.
No, we didn't used to do all of that, but I remember it'd be like, switch your partner or change your partner. You know, you have to like crisscross and go to the other person. I don't know.
I mean, that was the original how you would go on dates, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so cool, though. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's it for McAllen.
Vamos, güey.
And so for real, acaba de pasar, güey. Then we have to wait till next year.
Next year, I knew it.
We should practice and get good at it.
Yes.
Get good at it.
Not only that, pero también lo que podemos hacer is look it up and see who won.
Yep. There you go.
We're going to look it up.
And then that will be our competition for next year.
I don't know, but, you know, I'm a pretty good dancer. So no sé, I can break it down.
You got to find the time.
Because I put my hands on my knees.
I don't think it's for dance.
No? Okay.
No, okay.
I told Dallas last night, my husband, I was like dancing. And then I was like, bro, I need to sit down for a little bit. Ya me dolieron las rodillas.
You take your glucosamine home.
No me la tomé, bro. Se me olvidó.
Okay, so today we will be discussing the case, as always, the tragic case of Irene Garza, who was never seen again after going to confession at a church.
What? Not the church, bro.
The church. And it would take many, many decades before her killer was actually brought to justice. So we're going to begin with Irene Garza, who was born on November 15th of 1934 in McAllen, Texas, to parents Nicolas and Josefina Garza. She had a sister named Josie. And the Garza...
Oh, like Josefina, but in English, Josie?
I'm not sure.
That's cute, though.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure por eso le pusieron Josie.
A la mejor,
Josefina,
sí.
you know, yeah. Josie. That's cute.
Like her mom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So the Garza family lived in Southtown, where most of the Hispanic population lived. And also at the time, McAllen had a big Catholic community.
Isn't that one of the churches que había whenever the settlers came or something like that? It was Catholicism? I don't know. But my daughter told me something about that.
She's learning about it in school?
Yeah.
And then the Garzas themselves were Catholic, and they took their faith very seriously, and they attended church themselves on the regular, and they, were involved in the church también.
Nice.
McAllen at the time was divided. The Hispanics stayed on one side of town, and then like on one side of the train tracks, and then the Anglos on the other, which was considered the better part of town. Now, Nicolas and Josefina, they owned their own dry cleaning business. And
Girl, but they had a business.
Yeah, they had a business.
So you better work.
By the time the girls like Irene and his sister Josie were in their teens, the business had become successful enough that they were able to move out of Southtown and move north to like an affluent side of town.
Oh, they're moving on up.
They moved on like donde vivían like the Anglos. They vivían like a lot of lawyers and like dentists and such. So
yeah. But there was a lot of racism though back then too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Irene attended McAllen High School, and she was very well liked. She was beautiful and popular.
Every time.
And she actually, along with her sister, became the first Mexican-American twirlers in the school band.
Work.
Yes.
Yes.
But it didn't stop there. Like, Irene went on to also become the first Mexican-American lead drum majorette.
You better work, Irene.
Yeah.
You know what? Pinche chingona. We need to look her up.
Yeah. Girl, you need to look her up. She's beautiful.
Aww.
After high school, she attended Pan American College, and she was the first member of her family to attend college and graduate school.
Wow.
And while she was still in attendance, she was crowned homecoming and prom queen.
Girl, she was on it.
She also won a couple of pageants. And again, she became the first Mexican-American to win Miss All South Texas Sweetheart in 1958. And then also American Bronco Queen.
Yes, Bronco.
And when you look her up, you'll see her pictures of
déjame la veo.
She has like her gowns, and she like her face, she had a natural beauty about her. Like she looked really soft, and she was referred to as elegant. She had a way of carrying herself that drew people in.
Wow, she was gorgeous. That is gorgeous. She had like como que parecía como una actress from Mexico.
Yes.
Like como
she looks like super soft, right? Like
yeah,
elegant.
like bien como que she talked really low, and she was so proper. She was so beautiful. Y luego tenía como a little curl, and she was wearing her little pearls. Oh my God.
Like her brows were like, girl, yes, brows.
Yeah, girl, she was working the brows.
Yeah.
In this one, she was working the brows, like with the red lipstick y todo. Look at that.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
Now, the Garzas were big into family. They had a lot of family gatherings. And then at the family gatherings, you know, she'd make people laugh, and just everybody loved her.
Así como a mí.
Sí. So after she graduated from college, Irene became a teacher. Why did I whisper that?
A teacher. I didn't know she was a teacher. Como que se atoró a la verga, what the fuck? Y luego?
And she taught second grade at, I think I might say this incorrect, I'm sorry. Thigpen? Thigpen. Thigpen Elementary School. So the school, it was for disadvantaged kids, where it was reported that sometimes some of her students arrived at school without any shoes.
Oh.
And she wanted to help as much as she could. And she was just so kind and so caring. And I mean, this happens now too, right? But so at times she would use her own paycheck to pay for the kids' school supplies.
This happens a lot right now too, because the fucking school system is horrible in the United States. Basura.
And she cared so much for these kids. She loved her job, and she took great pride in her job. And
she should.
And she wrote a letter to a friend that I'm going to reference a couple of times. But in that letter, she wrote to a friend in 1960 where she said, quote, "These children that I am teaching have been such a joy to me."
Oh, that's so sweet. Pobrecita.
Now, in 1960, which is the year that her case takes place, Irene was 25 and was leading a perfectly normal life for a young woman. She had her family, her faith, a job that she loved. She was dating, and she was trying to get over her ex, which had been kind of shitty. Mm-hmm. And she was also trying to broaden her horizons and put herself out there a little bit more. In that same letter that, like I just said, she wrote, quote, to a friend, "I've made quite a few friends this year, and I'm much happier than I've ever been." Regarding her dating life, she actually was kind of dating two guys.
Girl work.
And about one of them, she said that he was, quote, "an Anglo boy, not real handsome, but cute and religious," which is important. She wrote in parentheses to her friend. Oh. Again, Irene took her Catholic religion very seriously, and she went to church. She went to confession every Saturday, and she attended church every Sunday. And she was involved in the church and like arranging events for the church. So that was like
her routine, como quien dice, that's something que siempre hacía.
Yes.
Sin falta.
Yes, sin falta. And it actually, it was like a little saying in the family about Irene going to confession every Saturday, that she would go to confession whether she needed to or not, you know, even if she had nothing to confess.
I mean, how much I was going to say.
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing, that's how much she was committed to.
Yeah, I mean, how much can you do in a week? Like, if you're just at work, you know, I'm just saying.
I mean, she's
probably
like such a good person, yes.
Your thoughts, maybe, yeah. I don't know, but I don't know.
Now, while it may have seemed on the outside that Irene had it all together, and she maybe seemed so sure of herself,
girl,
that wasn't always the case, you know?
Same, girl.
Irene had been struggling with self-doubt and wasn't as confident as she might have seemed on the outside. But when she was elected secretary of the PTA of the elementary school where she worked, she wrote in that same letter to that friend, again, quote, "This may not sound like much, but to me, it means a great deal. It means that I'm overcoming my terrible shyness and becoming sure of myself."
Yay.
End quote.
Good job. Girl work.
So the night of April 16th, 1960 was a Saturday. Holy Saturday, to be exact, because Easter was going to be the next day. So Irene was rushing to make it to confession since it was getting a little bit late and the church was going to have long lines, you know? She had made plans.
Long lines to confession?
No, but it's like, you know, midnight mass was coming up.
Oh, okay. I was like, golly, like, estaban dando comida, okay?
No, well, yeah, there was long lines to confession. You're talking about like a very Catholic community.
Yes, of course.
She had made plans to meet with a friend for a movie, so andaba apurada. So she borrowed her parents' car and drove 12 blocks to the Sacred Heart Catholic Church at around 6:30. She parked the car a couple blocks down the street and made her way inside. But sadly, Irene would not make it out of that church alive.
From the church. Like,
nobody would ever see her leave the church.
What the Oh, should I say what the fuck, even though we're talking about church? That's kind of weird, but...
Makes you feel kind of like, ooh.
How
but
flabbergasted I am.
Perdóname, Diosito.
I know, I need to go confession for real. How flabbergasted I am.
Now, back at the Garza home, there was a big family gathering going on. At some point in the night, I'm not really quite sure how it happened, but her family was notified que nunca llegó Irene back to the house. And that just wasn't like her. Like, it wasn't like her to not check in, right? I believe it was a cousin que al último dijo that Irene was missing.
Because somebody was like, pues, ¿dónde está la Irene? No, pues, se fue a la
confession.
Pero o a las películas. Y luego time passed, pues, ¿dónde? No llegó.
Ya nunca llegó, right. Yeah. So they reported her missing to the police, as well as going to the place where she had gone last, which was the church.
I'm pretty sure, I've been to McAllen. So McAllen is not that big, so...
And she only drove 12 blocks.
Yeah, like, it's
and that was... Then in 1960, you know?
Yeah, so imagínate, like, I don't think that was very populated.
And then they knew where she had gone.
Yeah.
So they went to the church and they found that her car was parked 2 blocks down the street from the church.
So the car sí estaba ahí donde lo dejó ella?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, immediately, the McAllen PD department got involved. Now, investigators spoke with witnesses and they did place Irene at the church from the very beginning. She was seen walking from her car into the church. Inside, she was seen kneeling on a pew by herself, and she was also seen in a confession line wearing a white lace veil. I thought that was pretty cool.
Bro, she was just, like, amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
she was fashion.
She was fashion, bro.
Yeah.
She was like, let me stand here with my veil.
Yeah.
A mí me daría calor, but that's just me.
Pero, eres bien calenturienta.
Sí, no, sí, soy bien calenturienta. Pero además de eso, me daría calor because I'd be nervous inside of the church. Se va a caer a la chica.
You're like, everybody, get out the way. I need to confess.
Quítense de aquí porque ahí voy yo, and y'all don't wanna be caught in between these walls. I don't want to be caught in between these walls right here.
So the usher, these are my confessions.
These are my confessions. Don't get me started because I'll sing the whole song.
Okay, no.
Okay.
Let's take a quick break.
Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! 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 He's gonna shoot!
Oi! Shot fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Stay out! You gotta go on you!
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
Now, like I said, she was seen in confession line wearing a white lace veil, where a parishioner stated that she had asked if she could skip ahead because she was running late.
Okay. But you're at church, so you have to say yes, right?
Oh, I don't know. Others stated that they saw her get out of the line, kind of like if she was going to leave the church. Pero nobody actually saw her leave.
Okay.
So she just got out of the line, right? Now, a large search ensued for her. A lot of people volunteered to help. A lot of the police were on horseback, and people were really invested in finding her because she was very well known in her community.
And she would help the kids at the school. She was in the PTA. I mean, she was involved.
Everybody knew who she was.
Yeah.
Everybody knew her family. Even the Hidalgo County Sheriff, E.E. Vickers, promised that they would find out what happened to Irene and that no stone would be left unturned. But it wouldn't take long before the first clue emerged. On April 18th, remember, she disappeared on the 16th.
16th, yeah.
A high-heeled shoe was found on a farm road by P.W. Miller, who had been passing by.
One shoe.
One heel.
Mm-hmm.
It was muddy and was slightly scuffed, and like the bottom, I guess, cap of the heel was missing. And Irene's family confirmed that she was wearing those heels when she left for confession. A day later, just 200 yards away from where the high-heeled shoe had been found, a black patent leather purse was found lying in the middle of a field by a fellow teacher named Alfredo Barrera.
Get it, patent leather.
Irene's driver's license was found inside.
Oh, shit.
And the purse was also identified as belonging to Irene by her parents. So after dusting the bag for prints, nothing was found. So there were no prints on the bag.
I mean, they probably didn't do a very good job in the 60s. I'm just saying.
Or maybe, I mean, they could probably lift a print, but what could they do?
What could they do?
I mean,
They didn't have like CODIS or anything like that.
So obviously finding those things that had belonged to her was not a good sign.
Yeah.
But that didn't deter anyone from continuing to search for her or keeping hope alive. And the area where the items were found became the focus of the investigation for days. It was reported that between 70 to 100 people were involved in the search.
That's a lot of people.
It included National Guardsmen, Hidalgo Sheriff's posse, civilian volunteers.
Like a posse?
Yes.
Like a posse
Like
of
a posse
sheriffs.
of sheriffs. Hidalgo County. Because McAllen is in Hidalgo County.
That's amazing. You imagine I'm here with my posse. That's cool.
Sheriff's posse.
Sheriff. Because I'm a sheriff. You know,
Yeah.
I'm with my posse. That's awesome.
And as I mentioned, some were on horseback and they were aided by light planes over like a 7-mile square area. They searched through brush, fields, and canals that were all around town. And McAllen at the time had a lot of canals around town for agricultural purposes. At the same time as the search was going on, since the news that Irene was missing broke, tips were coming into the police department in the Garza's house. Like they were actually calling the Garza family and giving tips.
Okay, so they set up like the line or what?
No, they were just calling the house.
People were just calling them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, every single tip was looked into, ¿verdad? One that initially piqued their interest was from a waitress in a nearby town of Edinburgh. She called in about a disorderly customer who was drunk and told her that he had killed Irene.
Oh, shit.
And I think he even went on to tell her that she was going to be next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she called the police.
Bruh,
Yeah.
I'll be like, you better get your ass out of here.
So the police did find him. And I think he was just like passing through town. And he was taken in for questioning. And in front of the investigators, he changed his tune real quick. He was like, that que estaba echando mentiras, that he was lying when he said that he had killed Irene. And according to him, during the time Irene disappeared, he was out committing a crime against an animal. And that was like confirmed.
Oh my God. Not, no. We can't do this. No. Mm-mm.
Get it together, people. Be better.
Be better. I mean, no. Mm-mm.
Well, that lead had dissipated.
And it was confirmed? How did they confirm? I don't want to know. Okay, move on.
While that lead dissipated into thin air, another one immediately popped up. On April 19th, so 3 days,
16, 17, 18, 19.
Police received a call from a woman claiming to be Irene.
Oh.
She stated that she had been abducted or kidnapped and was being held hostage in a motel in the nearby town of Hidalgo. So obviously la policía rushed to this motel and hoping to rescue Irene.
Yeah.
But when they got there, they discovered that it was a hoax.
But why do people do that? Like, I don't understand. What do you get out of that? Like, que gozo sacas de eso? Like, I don't get
You're
it.
fucked up.
Yeah, like these people are looking for their
Loved one.
Loved one. I don't know. Okay.
And I remember también from the case of Michelle Martinko, que, she went missing after she went shopping at Sears or something like that, and that she was 18. And I remember que le hablaron a su mom, and they would laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, people are so fucked up.
Like, I don't understand. And I guess what we can learn from this is that people
don't change.
Yeah, I was about to say people don't change because this is in the 60s and people are still assholes. So
Till this day
in 2024. So,
yeah.
I mean, and maybe in a few more thousand years, we're still going to be assholes.
Yeah.
Like,
eat shit because you're trash.
Dude, like, what the fuck?
How do you sleep? How do you sleep with yourself?
My dude is like...
You need a code of confession.
My dude, how is it that you pick up your phone...
No.
Sin hacer nada. Let me just think about this shit. Let me call these people that are
looking for their daughter,
agonizing over their daughter, and let me tell them that I know where she's at.
Be like, hey,
it's me. What the fuck?
Why? What do you get out of that? I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. And if you do understand,
pero hay un Dios.
Pero yeah, I just wanted you to know you're fucked up.
Yeah. The worst.
Yeah.
So a $1,000 reward was posted by her family for any information that led to Irene's whereabouts.
And that's a lot of money back then.
Yeah. And it was reported that at the time, and then other businesses later added to it. And at the time, it was reported that it was one of the biggest in the history of the lower Rio Grande Valley, as well as the search for Irene. Yeah.
Wow. Like pretty much everybody was looking for her.
Yeah. Now, after that major letdown, the hoax, a couple of days later, the Garza family received the news that I'm sure they were hoping not to receive. In the early morning of April 21st at 7:40 in the morning, Mrs. W. Arnold and George Pearson were walking by a canal on 2nd Street on their way to work when they saw a body floating in the canal. The police were alerted and they made their way to the canal, which was across from a Sears, and it was 3 miles from where her shoe and her purse had been found. Mm-hmm. After the body was recovered, it was taken to a funeral home where it was identified as that of 25-year-old Irene Garza.
Wow.
She was actually found floating downward.
Boca abajo.
Sí.
Uh-huh.
Y she was wearing most of the clothes that she had been wearing the night of the 16th. She had a petticoat, which was, I guess, because of water, it was over her head. And her skirt and her slip también se habían alzado. The lavender blouse that she wore was unbuttoned, and she was missing her underwear and her shoes. A preliminary autopsy revealed that she didn't have any water in her lungs. So that
she didn't die in the water.
Right. She had already been dead when her body was disposed of in the canal. And based on the state of the decomposition of the body, she had been dead for about 4 or 5 days. So the final autopsy report stated that Irene had trauma to the right side of the head, and the skin around both of her eyes estaban hinchadas. They were swollen.
They beat her.
She had been raped, and her death certificate states that it was while she was in a coma.
What?
Or she was unconscious, yeah. And the cause of death was asphyxiation, but she wasn't strangled. So she was either
smothered?
Yeah, something covered her airways, her nose
smothered.
and her mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, recap. So she was raped,
beaten, and then died by asphyxiation.
And then she was floating in the canal.
Her body was dumped in the canal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
that's
by
just
that
a
point,
lot. Fuck.
By that point, there were no new leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
A week later, after Irene's body was found, the McAllen PD decided to drain a portion of the canal to see if they would find anything that maybe had something to, a clue, right? And they actually did find something. It was a green Eastman Coda slide viewer with a black cord.
¿Qué es eso, güey?
Now, when I first saw it, it kind of just reminded me a super small overhead projector. Remember those at school? Que te trajera la teacher an overhead projector?
Wait, what?
You don't remember an overhead projector?
Oh, projector.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying protector.
No, pendeja. Projector. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember the projectors.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
So this is kind of what this was. But it was just super small. It kind of looked like a phone, like a cord phone. So in the slide viewer, you could insert slides and then project them onto the wall.
Oh, okay.
Pero parecía teléfono with the cord. But it was super small. I have a picture of it. I can show it to you.
Yeah, that makes no fucking sense. So then I get why you would put the picture and then reflect.
Right, it looks like a phone, right?
Oh, yeah. And it has a cord too. Okay.
Yeah, and then you just enter little slides and then you can put them on the wall.
Pero tenía una luz.
Yeah, I guess lo enchufabas and you would plug it into the wall. And then it will work. Se le prendía la lucecita, yo creo. Okay. Because you would have to plug in an overhead projector.
Yeah, for sure. No, yo nada más no sabía si tenía luz, a bulb. Yeah, okay.
Now, obviously, this was a clue that they needed. And they knew they had to find the owner of the Coda slide viewer.
Is it a Coda?
Coda.
Oh, I thought you said a Coda slide viewer. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with my hearing today?
Well, I'm the one con la oreja tapada.
No.
So they published it in the paper and asked the public to come forward if it belonged to somebody that they knew or they were the owner of it. And they actually had somebody come forward. The plea in the paper prompted a gentleman by the name of John Fight to call the police 2 days later and claim the slide viewer as his. Now, John Fight was a new priest in town, and he was a priest at the Sacred Heart Church. And he told McAllen PD that it was his, and that was his. He's like, and I've had it for a year. I bought it last summer. Les dijo.
That's a little bit sus.
So, of course, the investigators, they're like, we need to talk to this man, right?
Yeah. Traigan el padrecito para acá.
And he actually Fight. So I'm just going to refer to him as his last name. And so Fight sat down with them for an interview in early May, and he was asked about his whereabouts the night of April 16th. So él les dijo to investigators that night, he and Father O'Brien, who was the main father / priest of Sacred Heart, were in the rectory. The rectory is like the housing that the church provides for priests, and is usually right next to the church. And they were leaving the rectory, y que suena el teléfono. And that it was Irene. And she was looking for another priest, pero I think the priest was hearing confessions. So Irene, according to Fight, le dijo that she felt uncomfortable, or that she didn't feel comfortable like confessing in a room full of people because it was so packed. She thought somebody might overhear. So he's like, that's fine. If you want to come to the rectory, I can take your confession here, and then you can, leave or whatever. So according to Fight, she agreed and met him in the rectory for a private confession. After he confessed her, is that the right term?
Spoke to her? I don't know. But wait. Rewind. So she got so he's saying that he got a phone call.
Right.
From Irene saying that she was uncomfortable confessing, but she was already at the church?
Yeah, but you know how there was a lot of people because it was packed? So she didn't want to wait in line to confess.
I get that. But my question is,
she didn't want people to overhear.
Which I get that. Mm-hmm. But my question is, how does she contact him from the phone? If she doesn't have
maybe the church has a phone. I don't know.
So if I'm at the church, I'm like, oh, hay mucha gente. I mean, or me van a oír or whatever, lo que andaba diciendo de la vecina. And so then, ¿sabes qué?
Maybe I need to
call. Like my person will be like, I'm gonna call.
Right, because we have cell phones.
We have cell phones. But how did she?
I don't know. I don't know if they had hey, you can ask for a phone there at the church. I don't go to church like that, so I don't know.
Same.
I don't go to church at all, so.
Same. Maybe I should.
No, you're good.
Maybe I should.
So, like I said, he took her confession, her confessed her, whatever. He walked her to the door, and he said that they walked together to the door, and she walked through the door into the church, and it was like around 7:15, 7:20. And he says that the last thing that he saw Irene do, that she put on her veil. Y se metió a la church. And then he said that he proceeded with his duties. He gave midnight mass that night. Mm-hmm. And then he gave the mass next day for Easter también. So, yeah, maybe like you said, his version of events were a little fucking weird, right? Or just kind of like, that's weird. Like, that's suspicious.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. But personally, if I was the investigator, which I'm not, obviously, that's why I'm sitting right here in my garage. But if I was the investigator in the 1960s, I would be like, bro, something is not right.
Right. But his alibi kind of checked out. He was giving midnight mass. He gave Easter.
He's the last person that saw her. Mm-hmm. So then my deal is, how the hell did you, let's not say hell. How did you get from the church into his, I know that they're there, but my deal is, my mentality, Stella, is how did you contact her from the church over to where your
how did she
quarters
contact?
Are? Yeah. How did she contact?
I don't know.
You see what I'm saying? Y luego dice que she
I
was
remember,
there.
Okay, I have a cousin that's a nun. Mm-hmm. So when we visited her years ago, we stayed in a house that's attached to the church and the living quarters of the nuns.
¿No se cayó la church contigo, güey?
No, pendeja, no soy tú.
Oh, okay.
And there was a door that led to the church. It was literally, you just cross like a little, you know how your bedroom, your hallways?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
You cross, let's say from like your bedroom to your stairs.
Or from outside to the garage. It's like, basically not that far.
No, they're literally right there.
Yeah.
Like yo abro la puerta and I could see into the church and I could see into the hallway of like the...
Yeah, I just
don't know if that's how it usually is for everybody.
I don't know.
But like you said.
I have questions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, like I just mentioned, his alibi checked or whatever, and any interested in fight kind of faded. Not only because his alibi was okay, but he was also a well-trusted priest in a very religious community.
I have.
Now,
thoughts.
Months continue to pass with no progress in Irene's case. It's just kind of like it came to a standstill, but it wasn't from at least what it seemed like lack of trying. Detectives questioned more than 500 people, and the ones that were considered persons of interest or suspects were interrogated. Some even took polygraph tests, and they were all cleared.
And why didn't they polygraph test a priest?
They did.
Oh, okay, good. He better have passed.
They literally had nothing, right? There was no DNA. There was no physical evidence. There were no witnesses, no lead suspects. And
any DNA that they could have had was in the
washed
water.
away in the water. Yeah. And at one point, there was a clue that could have possibly identified Irene's killer, which was a muddy shoe print found on the banks of the 2nd Street Canal, 4 blocks south of where Irene's body was discovered. So since the ground was soaked with rain at the time, they couldn't make out any of the actual details of the exact size of the shoe print, just that it could be a men's size 8 to 11.
That's kind of a wide range, dude.
Yeah.
That's really
it could be a teenager.
Yeah, it could, like,
to a grown-ass man.
Yeah, it could be anything like that. That's not a good range.
My niece is a size 8.
Yeah, my son is a size 7 in women's, and he's not even 9 yet.
Yeah.
So I mean,
now,
what I'm saying is like that's not
that's not telling much.
Yeah, I mean, but at least with all of this that you're saying, Estela, it seems like they really did look. Like it wasn't like they weren't trying to find the killer.
Now, inside the shoe print was a strand of Irene's hair. So investigators were able to determine that was the location where her body was dumped. Mm-hmm. And then just
she
floated through where...
¿Cómo se le llama?
The current?
Sí, pues she flowed, ¿no?
Yeah.
The rift se la llevó la
current. Uh-huh. By 1962, that case had gone cold. The years and decades passed. And Irene's parents passed away before any justice was brought for the murder and disappearance of Irene.
Imagine.
I believe her dad passed away in 1995 y su mamá in 1998. But Irene's remaining family hadn't forgotten about her and her case. And in 2002, a couple of Irene's cousins decided to reignite her case again.
That's awesome, primo.
Their names are Linda de la Viña and Noemi Ponce Ziegler. And actually, Noemi's dad, so Irene's uncle, was a deputy sheriff at the time of her disappearance and murder and was actually part of the team that was working on the investigation.
So he was aware about the case and stuff. Okay.
But he was eventually taken off the case.
Yeah, because it was a conflict of interest.
By Sheriff Vickers, Now, like I just mentioned, in 2002, Linda reached out to the new chief police of McAllen's PD, Victor Rodriguez, to see if he knew anything about the case, or maybe su tío had left something, right, pertaining to the case. And there was actually plenty left behind. I mean, there was like boxes upon boxes upon boxes of case files.
Yeah, investigations and stuff.
Yeah, so much so that they requested the help of the Texas Rangers.
Oh, I love the Texas Rangers, man. They're so awesome.
Now, obviously, Irene's case was much bigger than McAllen's PD could do for it, as far as like tools and like forensics, pretty much, right? Now, many of the boxes of evidence were turned over to the Texas Rangers in hopes that maybe DNA could be found, or any fibers or any type of fingerprints that weren't able to be recovered and tested then, but could now with the advances in technology. Some items were able to be processed, but the results were inconclusive, and ultimately they didn't lead anywhere. Now, Rudy Jaramillo, who was in San Antonio, was a Texas Ranger detective and one of 8 detectives on the new cold case unit. And he was working on Irene's case. He went all over it. He even interviewed more than 70 people as far as Mexico City.
Damn!
And got nothing.
Golly, man, that's crazy.
So in April, a detective in San Antonio named George Settler, I think that's how you say his last name, Settler. Sorry, senor. Received a phone call from a man named Dale Tashney, who lived in Oklahoma City. Tashney, when he called Settler, said that he had information about a murder that took place in the 1960s.
Okay.
He went on to say that he was a former priest / monk. They call him monk. They call him priest. I'm just know that he was that.
That he was something in the church.
Yeah. A former priest, monk. And that in 1963, he was staying in a Trappist monastery in Ava, Missouri. While at the monastery, he provided counseling for another priest who came there from San Antonio and told him that he had attacked a young woman in a parish on Easter weekend and murdered her.
What?
So Settler was skeptical, right? He was like, and he told Tashney to write down what he remembered and took down his number. And
but why? Okay, wait, hold on. Go back to that. So why is he just bringing it up now?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. What the fuck?
So
no, what the fuck? I'm sorry. It's because we're talking about church. What the heck?
Oh, I was gonna say, que chingados.
¿Qué pedo?
So yeah, like ended the phone call, right? So Settler. I feel like I'm saying his last name wrong. Settler.
Sorry, senor.
Received a typed 2-page letter from Del Tashney where he typed everything that he remembered. And a line from the letter said, quote, "The priest took her to the parish house and heard her confession. After hearing her confession, he assaulted her, bound her, and gagged her." End quote. So Settler looked up newspaper articles and police records from the 1960s in San Antonio, but nothing matched the details that Del Tashney was mentioning in the letter. So he was like, okay, well, this is not matching anything that I could do, right? So he had other cases to work on. So he just, put that shit to the side, right?
As they often do.
Y pasó tiempo. It wasn't until November that a Texas Ranger named Rocky, oh, sir, I forgot the C here. I put Rookie. Rocky Milliken stopped by Settler's office to pick up evidence for a case that he was working on. And, they started chismeando, they started talking. Milliken brought up to Settler about a cold case that, Texas Rangers were working on about a young woman who was murdered on Easter weekend and that the main suspect could have been a priest.
Oh, shit.
Now, Settler was like, hold up, can you repeat that?
Yeah.
So, le dijo,
like, that is like, whoa.
Yes.
Like, for those two people, mind you.
For that man, Rocky, to walk into his office and tell him, hey, we're working on this cold case.
That's like, whoa. That's whoa.
That's meant to be.
That's meant to be.
That was meant to be.
That was meant to be.
Irene, is that you, girl?
Girl, what's up, Irene? You better come through.
Irene said, y'all not going to forget about me.
Not me. Not today.
Not I. So Settler, he's like, went to speak to Rudy himself, Rudy Jaramillo, and the two had actually never met. And they were both in San Antonio. And they both lived in the same little town outside of San Antonio.
What the hell?
They had never met. So
not what the hell? What the heck?
They compared notes about, what they had. And they were like, oh, shit, this is the same case.
The fuck?
So Del Tashney, they contacted, obviously, Del Tashney, right? Mm-hmm. And he drove to San Antonio from Oklahoma City to speak with Jaramillo and tell him what he knew. So in 1963, Tashney was a novice master. And he was the abbot's right-hand man. And he was the priest in charge of all the newest postulants in the Trappist monastery, right?
I just want you to know.
You have no idea what I just said.
Nope. I have no idea what the fuck you just said. So I was just like,
Yeah. So the abbot, he's like the head of the monastery, right? And that's who Tashney was, his right-hand man. Right-hand man? Yeah. Whatever. You know what I mean.
Right-hand man? Okay.
So Tashney told Jaramillo that, like I just said, he was a Trappist monk or priest, quien sabe. Mm-hmm. And he was appointed to provide counseling to John Fight at a monastery
in
knew it. Ava, Missouri, called Abbey of Our Lady of Assumption. He had been appointed to do so by the abbot of the monastery, who told him, quote, "There is a priest who murdered a woman who was in the guest house. He wants to become a monk. We are instructed to take him in," end quote.
No.
That said priest had been sent there from New Mallory Abbey in Dubuque, Iowa, where a month earlier he had attempted to attack a woman as she got into her car outside of the abbey. Not only that, but there had been other attacks in Texas where one attack led to the death of a young woman.
Girl.
So Tashney was being told all of this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Again, Tashney was, counseling, training Fight to become a monk.
But my dear Liz, Estela, how are you training a killer? Like, I don't understand.
We'll get to that.
Okay, I was about to say, because you need to tell me, because I'm getting pissed.
We'll get to that. So, like I said, Tashni was, training in the ways of
Monkery?
No offense, I'm sorry.
No offense, but
yeah.
monkery.
And he would meet with the novices once a week to explain how they were doing, Mm-hmm. As the months passed, it became apparent that the monastic life was not for fight. Bitch, I was reading that their day started at 2 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah. And they went to bed at 8.
Oh.
I wouldn't want that kind of life either.
Girl, no.
And then they were saying también que fight. First of all, most of the novices there were like kids right out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
This motherfucker was in his late 20s, como que no quedaba.
Cuadraba,
and
sí,
he was already a priest, These people were just getting started.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the monastic life was not for fight, so he asked to be transferred. He was like, this isn't the same for me. I want to get out of here. According to Tashni, it then became his job to prepare fight to return to regular society and to where he wouldn't be a danger to the general public when he left the monastery.
What?
To do so, he needed to get to the bottom of why he was attacking women and break him out of those impulses.
No, you need to call the police and put his ass in jail.
A job that he said himself he felt unqualified for. Like he had like a master's in psychology, if I'm not mistaken, sociology and stuff. But even he was like, the fuck?
The fuck?
Yeah. And even he said like, this is out of the realm of normalcy. Like this is not normal.
No, he needed to call the cops.
So Tashni finally asked Fight about the murder and was told that it happened over Easter weekend and that he and other priests were hearing confessions. Mm-hmm. And a woman came and he suggested hearing her confession in the rectory. He overpowered her somehow and then sexually assaulted her, like he undressed her from the top. And then he bound and gagged her, but didn't kill her, and placed her in the basement of the rectory and went back to church to hear the rest of confessions.
Hijo de la verga.
Afterward, he moved her to the pastoral house in San Juan, which was not very far away. I think it was like 5 miles away. And according to Tashni, Fight took the victim there and locked her in a room until the next day when he returned after Sunday services. I believe it was for his lunch hour that he gone, or I don't know. No estoy segura.
He was in a rush.
And before leaving again, he placed a plastic bag over her and then put her in a bathtub and heard her say as he was leaving, quote, I can't breathe. When he returned later, she was dead, which would make sense if he placed a bag over her head. She asphyxiated, right?
You would think.
Yeah. So he placed her body in the trunk of a church car.
No.
And disposed of her body.
Please don't tell me that. Not the church car.
It was reported that Fight told Tashni that the woman's name was Irene, but he never gave her last name. But other sources say that he never named her at all.
Okay.
So, quién sabe?
¿Quién sabe?
Also, that Fight never stated where the crime took place, and that Tashni assumed it took place in San Antonio in 1963 because that's where he came from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he didn't know that he was in
McAllen. No, because remember it had just happened in Texas and then he got into Iowa and stuff. Now that the details of the murder have been revealed, Tashni questioned Fight about the, quote, things that bothered him, right?
Mm-hmm. And why he was...
And why he got triggered.
Triggered by other women and shit?
But we'll get to that later. After Tashni felt that Fight had been rehabilitated...
Oh my
They
God.
tested him.
This is no way. This is not real. Tell me this is not fucking real.
They tested him to see if he had been cured of his compulsions, right?
Oh, Jesus.
They sent in...
Jesus, God.
Somebody.
But Lord,
Cher.
I mean, Rick Ross, somebody.
He was sent unsupervised to churches in a couple of different states, I think in Missouri and in Chicago, because he was from Chicago.
Oh, because he was clear.
Yeah, they wanted to test him if he was healed or rehabilitated from his compulsions.
Ay, no.
And so he was sent to be around women and to see if he had the urge to assault them.
I can't.
And apparently he didn't have those compulsions anymore. Y no hizo nada. And so he was free to go. And not really free to go, but he was transferred to Jemez Springs, New Mexico, to a treatment center for troubled priests where he lived for 6 years.
That's a thing?
This place is fucked.
Nuh-uh.
Yes. There's a priest that he actually crossed paths with that went on to assault like over 100 children. And it was a whole thing in the 90s. I think I actually saw a movie about that. on Netflix, and I think Rachel McAdams is in it. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah.
So
now,
there was, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, like why are you a priest that needs to be rehabilitated?
No, why? Exactly.
Don't be a priest.
Don't fucking do shit you're not supposed to do. What the fuck?
I mean, we all know that the Catholic Church is fucked. I mean,
I know, I get it. Well, I'm not gonna get it. We're not gonna get involved with the religious shit. But my deal is not religious shit.
Well, it's not the church; it's the men, the people running the churches.
Yeah. No. I get that. But my deal is, what in the world are you doing with the whole ass place
to rehabilitate? Like, are you like a priest that has like a drug problem? Like, okay, but when you're fucking assaulting people
and killing people,
like children, women,
I can't get behind that. I'm sorry.
Oh no, who could get behind that? You shouldn't get behind that.
But you know what? Whoever is putting those people in there, they should go to jail because they're covering shit, dude.
Girl,
dude, like I just don't get that. Like, okay,
you're gonna meet your maker truly. Like if you guys act like you know like the Bible and shit, and you know that what you're doing, like what's gonna be the end result of it, and you're still doing it, and you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's some fucked up shit.
Yeah, like you're really fucked.
You're fucked. That's some fucked up shit.
Now, we were just talking, like, why did Del Tashney keep this a secret after, for all these years? And why did he decide to say something about it now? Well, according to Tashney, the Trappist order at the time believed that priests could be rehabilitated and or healed, right? And they were all about forgiveness and hated the sin, not the sinner. And essentially that the church or God could punish one better than any jail or prison could.
Yeah, like people that are like stealing shit or people that, like you said, do drugs, but not people that are killing and molesting children or killing and molesting anybody.
Anybody, right. And then I watched an episode, I can't remember, was it an ID? I don't remember exactly, but he was also writing a book about his time in the Catholic Church.
Who?
Tashney. So all of this was going to come out anyway. You know what I mean?
No, actually, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't know if somebody or anybody has followed this on TikTok. There's a priest that he got, like they took him out of being a priest or whatever. I don't know. Ministry. So he was a priest in Mexico and he had been everywhere. And he started like airing out shit.
Like whistleblowing.
And he started telling everybody about how he was raped by like a higher up whatever. And he was like, he like, I don't know what his name is. I wish I could remember, but he's
speaking out
about his, like what he would see in the church and in the Catholic Church.
The craziest shit.
Like, the craziest shit. She's like, he would be like, yeah. He's like, yeah, the people that you need to be worried about are the people that are like, oh, you need to go to church every day or you need to do that. And it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
Think about.
Yeah.
That a lot of people hang behind that and are just evil.
They're evil. Like this poor guy, obviously the guy that I was talking about, the priest, I can't remember his name, Stella, but I can see him. He's wearing a little sweater and he's just like, they kicked me out. They're treating me like I'm trash and all this stuff because I'm speaking my truth. Yeah. And it's crazy. They they're trying to destroy him. I'm just saying, like, and you think Scientology is bad, but we're over
Scientology
here.
Is bad.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, you're trying to say, that Scientology is bad, but I'm a Catholic, so it's way better.
I mean, just religion. A lot of people hide behind religion, like we just said, that are evil. It's not the religion itself; it's the fucking people.
Yeah.
But so now with all this information, the Texas Rangers reviewed John's initial interview in 1960, and at the time of that interview, Fight had scratches on his hands.
What? You know what?
And on the wrist area. When asked about them, he said that he had been... so this is, we're going back to 1960, right? When he got initially interviewed. He said that you're going to laugh. He said that he was playing with his glasses and a screw came off. But then he later changes the story, right? But this is the first one that he gave. And that it fell somewhere and then he couldn't find it. So like that his glasses were like in shambles. And he asked Father O'Brien for the car to go to a pastoral house to get another pair of glasses, which was, like I said earlier, San Juan was about a 5-mile drive. When he got there, he realized que no tenía llave, pues, y no se podía meter. So then he jumped over the wall /fence, fell, and then scratched the back of his hands. And afterward, he said I don't know what they have to bring a Whataburger into this, but then he went to Whataburger and then he just drove around aimlessly.
Don't mention Whataburger. Take Whataburger out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
You asshole. Don't fucking do that to Whataburger.
Which, when he was driving around aimlessly, I'm sure that was probably when he was getting rid of her shoe, her purse, and all that such. Girl, I don't think he went to Whataburger. I think he just needed
patty
it, like...
melt or what?
Don't bring the patty melt into this.
Yes,
that's the best thing on their menu. So in reviewing Fight's original interview, Jaramillo immediately saw through the BS, you know? Like, this is bullshit.
I did too, and I wasn't there.
So he went a step forward and reached out to the independent company that conducted Fight's polygraph test in June, which was John E. Reed and Associates back in 1960. So the owner of this company, like, he wrote books on polygraph test. So he was like top of the line shit, right? And in the report,
like the best polygraph test.
Yeah. So this was an all independent company.
Like a Birkin fucking polygraph.
Yes. So in the report by George W. Lindbergh, who was the examiner, and he actually later went on to become a federal judge.
Wow.
It stated that the results implicated John Fight, despite McAllen's police department's claim that the results were inconclusive.
Pero let's go back to the same.
We're going to get there. You're not going to like it, but it's what happened.
Yeah.
Again, finding this out, investigators dug more into Fight because he was not only taking a polygraph test in regards to Irene's murder, but also on the attack of 20-year-old America Guerra, who had been attacked about 3 weeks before Irene went missing at a Catholic church in Edinburgh, Texas, just 6 miles away.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
So America Guerra, she was a student at Pan American University or college.
Yeah, that's where
she had gone.
Went.
Irene, yeah. On March 23rd, 1960. Remember, Irene, lo que pasó?
April 16th.
April 16th. So on the 23rd, which was a Saturday, at around 6:40, America, I don't know why I said it like that, went to pray at its Sacred Heart Church in Edinburgh. So it was about 12 miles away from the Sacred Heart Church in McAllen. She entered the church and noticed a young man with dark hair and horn-rimmed glasses sitting alone in one of the back pews. And then when she noticed him on the pew, she realized that she had seen him earlier. Like, she recognized him that afternoon as someone who had been watching her from his blue and white sedan, which was a church car.
Hijo de la verga.
So she walked in, she shook it off, right? And
she just kind of was like, oh, well, maybe
whatever.
I'm seeing things. Yeah.
Right. So she made her way to the altar, knelt to pray, and soon after that, a man came up behind her and tried to place a cloth over her mouth. So she began to scream and she fell backward and onto the floor. Her attacker tried to cover her mouth with his hands so she wouldn't scream, pero ella alcanzó a morder el dedo. Like, so much so that she drew blood. And so the attacker kind of pushed her onto the wall, and she managed to get up and she started running out of the church, and she was crying and yelling for help and such.
But she didn't see who it was?
She did. Now, after an investigation of that assault, and also with America and another witness identifying Fight as a person fleeing from the church from a photo lineup, Fight was indicted for the assault and intent to rape America Guerra in August. He stood trial the following year, and when it came time for the jury to deliberate, they were deadlocked.
Oh my God.
It ended up in a mistrial, and in 1962... rather than stand trial for a second time, he pleaded no contest to a reduced charge of aggravated assault and was fined $500.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? I'm so pissed.
Investigators also learned that after America Guerra's trial, church officials were sent to McAllen. By the time the McAllen Police Department had big suspicion that Fight had something to do with Irene's murder, since it happened just 3 weeks after America Guerra's attack, and that obviously there were similarities between the two cases, right? And it seemed that the church struck up a deal with the police department.
Why am I not surprised?
That Fight would be sent to a monastery where his punishment would be greater than if he went to prison.
But dude, how does the police is okay with this?
The understanding was that Irene's case would not be pursued to protect the Catholic Church.
Wow.
But from what is reported, it wasn't only McAllen's police department that suspected Fight of Irene's murder, but also the town. Like there were whispers around town that they suspected that it was him, but it was not something that you voiced out loud. Like people just kind of
the 60s, dude. Like,
and the church at the time was very powerful.
yeah.
To today.
Till today. I was about to say, todavía.
So people knew or figured that it was him, but nobody would just like, hush,
You
hush,
have
you
to
know?
be quiet, no?
So after America's trial, that's when John Fide was sent to the monastery where he received the counseling from Del Tashni, or where he was sent to, transferred to different places. As I mentioned earlier, afterwards, he was sent to Jemez Springs, New Mexico, to that treatment center where he rose to position of superior.
Well, yeah, because he, from all the fucked up shit, he's the fucked it uppest.
Out to the top.
On the top of the fucked it uppest.
It was in New Mexico that he met his future wife.
No.
At a church in Albuquerque.
No.
He left ministry altogether, either 1971 and 1972, so he could marry. The couple had 3 children and even grandchildren, and he ended up leaving in Phoenix. And he worked as an insurance salesman for 6 years, and afterward he became a spokesperson for a Catholic charity where he advocated for the poor and homeless.
I'm pissed.
Now, in the summer of 2002, investigators believed that they had enough to push the case forward so that the Hidalgo County DA at the time, Rene Guerra, could send it to a grand jury for an indictment.
Espérame. Did you say 2002?
Yeah, because remember, this is all when the cousins decided to pursue the case again.
Pues, pero lo que estoy preguntando is it took this long? Wow.
Yeah, because it all started when Del Tashni.
Yeah, no. I get it. I know what you're saying. It's just like, it's crazy
From
to me.
1960.
Yeah.
Hold on to clench your butthole, bitch.
No, don't put my butthole into
Yeah,
this.
clench your butt cheeks.
No, I don't know about that.
It wouldn't stop at 2002. Wait, you're going to get more pissed.
Oh, shit.
When they asked the district attorney if he would pursue an indictment in the case, Guerra said, quote, "I reviewed the case files some years back. There was nothing there. Can it be solved? Question mark. Well, if you believe pigs can fly, anything is possible."
Wow.
He also added, quote, why would anyone be haunted by her death? She died. Her killer got away.
Wow.
So actually, Guerra was voted into office in 1992, and he was part of a powerful Catholic family.
Of course she was.
And was also like a big part of the Hispanic politicians who helped like shape the political landscape of McAllen. So this asshole would continue to roadblock Irene's case for years to come.
Wow.
As far as like taking it to a grand jury. But in 2003, the Texas Rangers were finally able to speak to Father O'Brien. Remember, he was the main priest in the 1960s.
Yeah.
Who, by that point, el señor pobrecito ya estaba bien viejito.
Sí, güey,
he was
tenía
living
como 1000 años. No
Respectfully.
mames, respectfully.
He was living in a retirement home for priests in San Antonio. And
They have retirement homes for priests?
girl, it's a whole nother world that we have, I
Like,
guess
you
you would go
just-
down rabbit holes, I'm sure.
Bitch. Like,
Not
you
just one, like 2,000 of them.
So, like, you not only... okay. I had no idea, but okay.
So Father O'Brien told him that he suspected Fide from the very beginning, and that Fide told him that he had killed Irene when he confronted him about his suspicions. Y de por sí tenía pinches rasguñadas en las manos, güey.
Pues se cayó, güey.
Oh, sí. Nadie le creyó.
Pues es una estupidez. ¿Cómo le van a creer, Estela?
Not only did they have Tashni as a witness, but also now Father O'Brien, which both of them had already agreed to testify if the case ever went to court.
They better get that testifying because Father O'Brien tiene como 1000 años.
They thought, okay, finally something. Maybe we could like pressure Guerra, right? But the motherfucker was not budging. He kept on saying that there wasn't any DNA or a confession, so he wouldn't be able to present this to the jury.
What?
Now, the media picked up the story, right? And he got like a large amount of backlash. And in 2004, he finally agreed to let grand jurors consider the case.
Okay.
Pero a huevo, güey. Like, los llevaba arrastrando. He only called one witness. And it wasn't Del Tashni or Father O'Brien.
Of course it wasn't.
It was a secretary from Sacred Heart Church who served as a defense witness for Fide during the 1961 assault case of America Guerra.
Are you kidding me?
And then while he was doing all of this, he also trashed the case to the jurors.
Wow.
And as he was presenting it. And Like, John Fight was never subpoenaed to appear or anything like that. So obviously jurors declined to indict Fight due to insufficient evidence.
Well, duh.
So after
That's so fucked up. But they not only had the guy, saying that he remembered him, and then he was confronted, and then the other guy saying all of that shit that he was told. But then on top of that, they had like the thingy. ¿Cómo se llamaba la madre esa? The polygraph test.
She's just making like
yeah,
finger motions up and down, up and down.
La polygraph test that was what the
After that decision, como like Father O'Brien, like we just said, he was a little bit older. So
not a little bit, bitch. He was 100.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
He called Noemi Ponce Sigler, which is one of
the cousins. Yeah.
And who, with his permission, they recorded the conversation, and where Father O'Brien gave comments, or he spoke about when John Fight confessed to him that what he did to Irene. As far as that he suspected him from the very beginning, and the details which we already talked about.
Which I could have said something like, why didn't he go tell somebody like the police? But come on.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
He was under oath, and
Yeah.
Now, investigators would push for the next decade, Barbie.
What the fuck?
To convince the district attorney to push the case forward, but to no avail, until there was a new district attorney elected.
Ya se murió el otro, ¿qué?
No, that he was elected. A new district attorney was elected.
Finally.
On February 15, 2015.
What?
The new DA, Ricardo Rodriguez, gave prosecutor Michael Garza, no relation to Irene, the case to bring against John Fight. There was plenty of compelling evidence, like they had a case.
Question. So about how old is John Fight now?
Bitch. He was in his 80s. Hold on. Like I just said, they had a case. Like they had a case. They had witness statements, the initial interview, failed polygraph tests. Like,
dude, like this guy is out there just having the time of his life, pinche eating hot dogs on 4th of July and shit. And you're telling me que pues no le pueden hacer nada because he's a priest.
Like I just said,
allegedly.
There was an arrest warrant issued for John Fight in February of 2016.
Wow.
It was Ash Wednesday.
Perfection.
He was extradited back to Texas to stand trial. It began on November 30th, 2017.
Are you kidding me?
He was 85.
That's wrong.
He
was practically dead. Now, I'm sorry for 85-year-olds. I'm sorry, but he was practically fucking dead.
He lived a whole life.
Like, he had children and all of these things. Grandchildren. What about the people that he fucked up? Like, what about Irene? Like, she was like an amazing person. She was fighting her rights as living her life as a Mexican-American woman. The kind of women that we need now. And for what? For him to just fucking do that to her? Like, oh my God. Okay, now I'm pissed.
For prosecutors, Del Tashney was now the star witness because obviously by that point... And
how old is Del Tashney? It's like 150?
By that point, Father O'Brien, he had passed away already.
Sí, güey.
I think he had already passed away by 2004, if I'm not mistaken.
Sí, güey, pues está cabrón.
On the stand, Del Tashney stated what we already know, that, when Fight arrived at the monastery, his superiors told him that Fight had murdered someone, and it was his task to determine if Fight was fit for, quote, the rigorous life of a monk.
Wow.
And while counseling Fight told Tashney that the reason why he attacked women was because hearing women's heels on a concrete floor made him anxious. So, quote, Fight said that one thing that really bugged him was the click, click, click of women's heels on solid flooring, end quote. And that it gave him the urge to, quote, sometimes attack women from behind, especially as they are kneeling, end quote. It was a compulsion.
Oh, okay. So it had nothing to do with you being a fucking sick ass.
That it was that they worked through. Like when he was counseling and getting ready to him to be released back into society, like they talked through those feelings. I don't know, bitch. And a question, obviously, that everybody wanted to know, that Michael Garza, the prosecutor, answered for the jury was, why wasn't anything done in 1960, right?
We are in 17.
And I mean, obviously, we need a motive, right? And well, he had an answer for that. So during the most recent investigation of Irene's case, investigators obviously subpoenaed records from different institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And in those records was a letter from Reverend Joseph Paulicki to Reverend Lawrence Seidel, I don't know, dated August 1st, 1960. So I'm going to read some of this letter, not all of it, but for the most part. And John Fight and Irene Garza, they're never named in this letter, but bitch, they don't need to be named in this letter to know what they're talking about.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Okay, it said, the letter reads, quote, "Last week, I had the opportunity of speaking with the sheriff about the case. His observations are not only keen and based upon much experience in such matters, but seem to be the course we should take. After outlining to the sheriff the many facts I had received from Father Nash, the sheriff is of the opinion that the case is quite weak for the prosecution. He is also of the opinion that the prosecution must be made to see just how weak their case is, lest they go off half-cocked and set the wheels into motion that would bring this out in public print and give the opponents of the church a field day. There are also political implications to this that could make a juicy scandal for the opposition of Kennedy. The sheriff does not want more than the number mentioned, and he thinks this will quiet things considerably. Once this is done, then after 3 or 4 months, or even less, if possible, have these young men transferred to another part of the country as normal obedience. He feels that everyone knows that priests are always being transferred to another part of the country as normal obedience. He feels that everyone knows that priests are always being transferred around, so this would not be strange. After some time in his new place, a year or two, then have him sent out to a foreign mission. The reason for the first move is to get him out of the area of suspicion. If something happens, the officers at the area will always be suspicious of him. The sheriff concludes that the longer time we have, the weaker the case gets. He has much experience in such things. He is also a Catholic, and he also stands to lose materially by such a scandal here. Now, I'm not sure if you were able to gather from that letter that they were covering up a murder because it would damage the Catholic Church.
So basically,
and a lot of people would stand to lose a lot if that happened.
Yeah. And not only that, but basically what you're telling me is that if you become a priest, they're going to fucking ride with you till the end.
Also, 1960 was election year, not only for local Sheriff E.E. Vickers, but also for presidential candidate John F. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, JFK was Catholic. And
that's what they're talking about when the election. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And would be the first Catholic president elected.
Wow.
If this came out at the time, it was believed that it would create an anti-Catholic sentiment that could hurt the chances at his presidency.
So fucked up.
That's crazy to think about.
That's fucked up.
Like my family member, I'm here thinking that's like a family of the victim. You're telling me that my family member, we couldn't get justice for her because you guys wanted to get a Catholic and you wanted to stay a Catholic in office.
It didn't matter. So your family member does not matter.
Sucks.
Yeah. She, whoever it is does not matter because
it doesn't matter as long as we get who we need.
Not only that, but number two, ellos sabían el dinero que iban a perder if that happened.
They were power.
Their power, yeah. But the thing is, like, it's just mind-boggling. It's una locura, and like I don't even know what the fuck to say. Like,
now the letter from one fucking reverend to another, like, bitch, like, what are these fucking reverends talking about?
No nada más es eso, but the thing is, they knew about, like, that means that not only did that guy know, but everybody around him knew.
The police department
knew. So you're telling me that all of these people should all fucking be in jail because you all were accessory.
This letter obviously is the smoking gun.
Yeah.
It was a motive behind the cover-up of Irene Garza's murder. Now, John Fight's defense, from what I could gather, like his attorney,
shut the fuck up, John
Renee
Fight.
Flores, argued that the prosecutors did not have sufficient evidence to convict Fight because there was no physical evidence linking him to the crime. Now, John Fight never took the stand, right? So when the jurors left to deliberate, they deliberated for 6.5 hours before reaching a decision.
Why?
John Fide was found guilty of the murder of Irene Garza and was sentenced to life in prison.
Motherfucker is dead almost. He's 87.
He was serving his sentence in the Huntsville prison. We know where that's at. And 2 years into it, in 2020, John Fide died of cardiac arrest.
Of course he did. Of course he motherfucking did.
And at the time that he passed away, I think he was in the middle of appealing his conviction.
Yeah, of course he was appealing. Because
and actually, he would have been up for parole this year in 2024 at the age of 92.
And he was going to
And you know what? None of his family was at trial. Nobody.
Yeah, because they wanted to just sweep it under the rug and act like it didn't happen.
Do you think he never did anything like that again?
Oh, yeah. For sure. For sure he did that shit again. Somewhere.
Like from what he left the monastery, do you think he wasn't healed? Like, I don't think that goes away.
How do you heal that, Estela?
I don't know, but
how
anyway.
do you heal that? Because guess what? You can't heal that because people wear high heels in the fucking church.
Pero es que se curó, pues. Se curó.
¿Se curó? ¿De dónde, pues? ¿De dónde se curó?
De la fregada.
Like, I don't know.
But let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Do you think that he actually did something else I mean, he had to, dude. He fucking had to. There's no way. He probably was like, let me behave so that they can let me go. So I'm not going to do nothing.
He controlled it enough to where he needed to.
Where he needed to be like, I mean, and the fact that he was able to just confess this thing's a killing to the priest like that.
Because like you said, they had his back.
Wow, that's crazy. But let us know what you think about this case. You can follow us on Instagram at
Cafecito and Crime Pod, and you can download our episodes, rate us, share our podcast, and yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your support, continued support. Hope you have a wonderful whatever you're doing. Bye.